Welcome to RotoWire TV. He's Chris Liss. I'm Peter Schoenke. We're talking about 2013 fantasy baseball. Chris, you just did the fantasy baseball experts draft, the FSTA, a couple days ago in Las Vegas. Let's talk about some of your picks. You started off swinging for the fences with Bryce Harper, and then Brett Lawrie in the 5th round is another one that you did. First two rounds. Let's go with your first two picks. You swung for the fences. We'll recap them real quick.
Yeah, that metaphor, swung for the fences, is a baseball metaphor, and it actually is really applicable here because I took Giancarlo Stanton, probably the guy with the most raw power perhaps in the history of baseball. I'm expecting about 100 home runs, maybe 120 from him. Seriously though, if he were to play 150 games, I think the over-under on home runs would be 49.5. And he hit 37 in 123 games last year. He batted .290. He stole 6 bases. I mean, to me, this guy's only getting better. And I'm not worried about the whole Marlins, selling their entire team. They did that midseason last year. It didn't affect him at all. So I feel very good about that pick.
Well, the pick that I'm the most questionable on your team, though, is Brett Lawrie, who we took in the 5th round. He just never was really there's not much substance to his earlier career to get too excited about. You're talking about a guy who, who just has had one half of a good year in the major leagues.
Not even a half.
43 games, in 2011, 9 home runs, 953 OPS. That's good, but that's it. And even in the minor leagues, his track record is not that great. 2011, PCL, hitter's paradise, 1,076 OPS, very impressive, but it's a hitter's paradise. Before that, his best OPS in the majors before that was just 803. 802 in the minors. That's it. That's his best season. That's just not a track record that screams to me like, can't miss. And in the 5th round, you're passing over guys like Yadier Molina, who, was, I think, 3 picks later, right, who at that point, he's like probably one of the best catchers on the board, a guy who's not going to hurt you in batting average. He's going to be a plus from the catcher position. He's going to give you power. He seems like a pretty sure thing.
Steals a little bit too.
I mean, there's injury risk, but at the same time, in a snake draft like this, going positional scarcity has some value. You pass that up. You passed up a Michael Bourne about 10 picks later, who's obviously an impact player in stolen bases. Those guys have high, really high floors. You took a guy who I don't even think has that much upside. So give me the case.
Well, I mean, Lawrie, if you look at it, had 11 homers and 13 steals and 425 at bats last year. Think about that. You just give him a full 550 to 600. He's a 15-15 guy. He batted .273 at age 22 in the majors. It's not like he was hitting .240. I mean, people say he was a bust because there was a lot of hype behind him after the huge 150 at bat stretch that he had in 2011. But these guys, progress in fits and starts. He was a top prospect. The scouts liked him. Our buddy Jason Gray, I remember talking to him about it when I took him in the 3rd round last year at the draft. He said, "Yeah, I got no problem with that." It wasn't just like he was some guy who got lucky in 2011. It certainly didn't look like that. It looked like he was the player they thought he would be. The minor league track record, I'd like to see it be a little better, but he was very young for those levels. And I feel confident that, if he just does what he did last year, and he should get better, we're probably looking at, an 18 to 20 homer guy at a minimum, probably a 20 steal guy. He should be able to hit 275, 280 and play 3rd base. That's a good pick. That's just, modest improvement, from a full season with bat. What if he blows up? I mean, these guys don't progress little by little either. Sometimes the light bulb goes on. They've got 600 major league at bats. Boom. I now have the experience. He's got to be in a better place than he was last year after 150 major league at bats.
Yeah, so I can see the case for the upside, right? And you make a good point. But it's the 5th round. At that point, I just, I don't know that I'd rather have a little bit more floor than that. Especially some of the guys you came at. It's all about.
2nd round's time to throw out floor. Look, let me tell you this.
I mean, you could have had a guy. Look, let me make the kind
I want you to go over like the Yahoo Friends and Family League from last. I did this once when someone said you reach for this guy in the 4th round. I think.
Well,
when I took Stanton in the 4th round.
When it pays out, when it works out.
No, I took Stanton in the 4th round a couple years ago, and he's a rookie,
right,
or 2nd-year guy, and it was the same thing. He had about the same amount of experience as maybe less than Lawrie did, and so with the 4th round, that's crazy. This is the 4th round, right? And then I looked at last year's picks, the year before, of all the 4th round guys. And they were like so many busts. Half of them were total busts.
Right.
Can't worry about what could go wrong. Worry about what could go right.
Well, okay. So then, but for example, in the 7th round, there's Desmond Jennings. So you could have taken more of a sure thing in the 5th round and then taken, I think, a pretty similar upside play 2 rounds later. Well, that's a quick recap of Liss's draft. I don't like Brett Lawrie. We both like Hamilton. We'll see how it plays out, but hopefully that helps you for your 2013 season.